Hey there, Warriors! EnnuiGoblin here, once again bringing to you the latest in War action! As promised, I'm here to bring the conclusory matchup between Willingham and Glen in their series round of 8 matchup in the TitanVTitan tournament rounds. I'm super excited about finishing up this series. The last game was very, very exciting. We saw that Willingham was able to get enough mechas up onto this position and steal this base away. Very early base steal, too. I think it was like in the first 10 rounds. It looked like Glen was going to be in a lot of trouble and was just going to have to stall for as much time as possible. But in a shocking turn, we did see a speeder mecha come up to this position from Glen, managing to and wrestle away another base from Willingham, evening up the base count. It looked like Glen might have even been able to turn the tables for a moment there, but in the end, Willingham was able to win out, and he managed to give a margin of 20 games for Glen, so Glen will have to take the win within 20 games in order to take the title and move on past the round of 8. Or, assuming that the games do get to 20 rounds, I believe the credit kill count for Willingham last game was 5,200, so a score of 5,200, or a score greater than 5,200 on turn 20 or less than 20 rounds is what Glen is going to have to do to acquire this game. Now, there's really not too much more to be said about this map. We covered a lot of like the general strategy ideas of how it's going to be covered in the last game, so I think we're just going to jump right in here. Playing on the upper left-hand side as the Red Titans, it is none other than Glen! And on the bottom right-hand corner, playing as the Black Titans, it is Willingham! Let's get the game started here. We're going to see Willingham making his obvious play here. Now, I'm really excited to see what kind of strategy Willingham is going to want to play here. Is he going to want to go for aggression? Is he going to want to just try and defense up and just force Glen to stall out as many turns? I mean, both are capable strategies. You might expect to see him to play a little bit more defensively this game. Willingham, on the other hand, is going to just have to come out swinging as hard as he can. He only has 20 turns to get this through. We are seeing a mecha speeder combination come out from both boards, a second speeder coming out from Willingham up on the top turn, and now Willingham going to make his first assault. First blood is drawn, a 6-2 shot on that first mecha, and another speeder coming up on the board. Willingham just trying to position around what units we have. A third speeder for Willingham coming up. Now Glen going to take a first shot on that speeder while it's weakened by sitting on a defensive position on that base. Glen now going to port back his mecha, not wanting to lose those credits so early on in the game, keeping it out of the position of that 8 shot in the bottom there. Willingham now coming up to the center and going to take a 2-1 shot, try to even up the health score on that other mecha. Going to use the gang up bonus from the other speeder to get a 4-1 shot, and that mecha is not going to go down, but it is going to have to retreat and heal up and will not be useful in any combat situations. Glen now going to try and return the favor, taking a 4 shot on that first one, retreating the weakened speeder, bringing another 10 health speeder up on that base, and just trying to consolidate what forces he has rather than get too aggressive on this turn. Maybe try to leave the aggression for when he's in a little bit more better position a turn or two from here. Willingham now going to take advantage of that first shot he did on the other and try to consolidate his forces, get a defensive perimeter and make it more difficult for Glen to get a base steal. Glen now going to move some speeder aggression, moving up onto Willingham's half of the map. A second one going to take a big amount of that speeder sitting up on the base there, and that speeder is now only at a 3 health. And it doesn't look like Willingham has a whole lot of full health speeders to deal with speeders coming directly into his portion. More speeder aggression coming up to Willingham on the upper right-hand side. A second shot going to bring that. Now he has both of those brand new speeder investments are both down to 3 health. They will not be very effective, and that's a great first aggression for Glen here. Willingham now going to retreat those weakened speeders and try and do as much damage as he can to each and every one. He'd rather sacrifice a speeder and slow Glen down then keep all of his speeders and let Glen get a much better position, I think. Going to see Willingham continuing to hammer across these speeders at the top, not wanting to give Glen the opening that he needs in order to get that first base steal up on that first position, just like we saw in the previous game, but only Willingham using the same tactic. Glen now going to get that +4 heal position, benefit on that medic tile, another 4-3 exchange, and he is just taking such great advantage of the fact that Willingham has to let his new speeders sit on a base where they get that -1 defensive attribute. Now that base is going to be clapped by the speeders, and Willingham is going to have to work very hard to free up that base. Does he have enough units to take that 5 shot off? He might have just enough. He might have to leave that base capped for the time being, moving down his weakened speeder in behind that wall, and rather opting to go for triple heal rather than engage immediately. Not a bad decision. Probably will be a little bit easier to remove that 5-shot speeder on that position there. Glen continuing to move full health speeders here, though, and these full health speeders are going to do a lot of damage here. Getting a 4-to-1 exchange on that another speeder there. Is that speeder going to down? It will be eliminated. We are going to see quite a bit. And what is the credit count here? If we just take a look, we do have Glen at a 250 credit kill count advantage. That's going to see something. That's the sort of thing that you can see steamroll very, very quickly on these sort of games. Another speeder is going to go down, bringing it up to a 500 credit kill lead. And I think that is going to eliminate a unit, but Glen here putting himself in a very good position to take that base very quickly. And so it looks like Glen's early aggression is paying off really quick, really well. He's kind of scattered Willingham's forces, and Willingham is just going to have to try and make a play, and he's having difficulty getting exchanges with full health speeders. He's finally going to get a full health speeder off of this base here on that's moving in this position right now, but I think that's like the first time in the last 3 or 5 turns that a full health speeder from that base has managed to come onto the board and start swinging right away. Willingham now going to pump his units into another speeder and another mecha. Pour his mecha over there, trying to trap and isolate that 9 health speeder from being able to participate as easily into the bottom half. Glen now going to try and use what speeder aggression he has to move around. It looks like he's going to get the mobility to get in there anyways, despite the mecha blocking that position, and that other speeder is going to go down, and we are going to see a continuing advancement of Glen just trying to put as much distance as he can behind Willingham. Every credit is going to be valuable, especially if it only gets to 20. I mean, I think he could do it in earlier than 20. He's got a fantastic position, but Willingham, he's going to just try and consolidate and heal everything up and make it difficult for Glen to find his position into the next base capture step. Glen, however, doing a fantastic job of setting up a wall perimeter, and there is nothing Willingham can do, and that base is going to get captured on the next turn from this position. Putting more speeders onto the board from Willingham, getting some heals in the back. Is he going to be able to delay the remaining base captures of this game long enough to keep his position in this tournament? Glen sending more full health speeders directly onto that bridge, using that mobility to his advantage. He's got so much control of the upper half of the map. Glen is now continuing to hammer this line from Willingham, not going to want to give Willingham a chance to catch his breath and find a good defensive perimeter. Going to put a heal on that 4 health speeder, not a bad decision. A 6 health is going to be a little bit more useful in this scenario. Taking a 2-to-1 shot, just trying to find favorable exchanges wherever he is, and there's the base capture from Glen, and that should hold up until the next turn, unless Willingham has just enough damage to get to it. I don't think he does. More mecha's going to go down, though, and that speeder is going to get eliminated, and it's going to be exposed, and that base capture is going to be denied, and Willingham managing to skirt disaster, and that was fantastic. I thought for sure Glen was going to take that base, but giving just enough of an opening for Willingham to come in and deny the capture and put something heavy down. I believe a speeder might come up there. We might even see a plasma tech. No, we see a speeder come up on that position, and that base is going to be pretty well defended from any more aggression. Glen going to have 2 more turns to build the mecha and port it into that position, then another 2 turns to capture it, and that was Glen's chance to take that base, and it's just, now that he has 20 turns, can he continue to win this match? I mean, he's still in the better offensive position for certain, and if we look at the credit kill count, he is losing out a little bit on the credit kill, but I think we're going to see that go up here. Right there, that speed is going to go down, and he's holding on to his advantage every turn, but the sheer number of turns logistically it's going to take that position, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. And a plasma tank now coming down on that base, and that is going to delay things even further for Glen. Glen going to have to come up with some very heavy offensive play here in order to get rid of that tank and free up that spot for capture. Mecha's now continuing to move down, and Willingham making very conservative use of his mechas. His mechas, they have that fantastic ability to hammer out at least light ground units, like definitely speeders, also marauders are in that category. And even at sacrifice So the fact that they can do those extra points of damage, especially on a map like that, is going to be super useful. Glen going to take yet another kill from that speeder and make a cap onto that upper base. And Willingham so focused on that bottom position, letting his control the top. And Willingham now going to try and reconsolidate and reposition his forces. And is he going to be able to hold position? We have speeders frantically trying to knock away that 6 health speeder on that base cap, but I don't think that Willingham has enough to deal with this just yet. Is that 7 health going to be able to reach it? Will that speeder go down? And it's just barely going to get knocked away. Willingham, again by the skin of his teeth, managing to keep Glen from getting a permanent position. And now we see Willingham, his mechas, ready to block that line and keep that position safe. Glen going to be sending in more speeder aggression, taking advantage of that ported mecha. The mecha will go down. Another speeder attack going to come, a 3-2 exchange, hammering it with everything he has. A full health shot now going to take advantage of that gang up at 5. Is that speeder going to go down? The 7 health should, and I believe that will be the elimination of the speeder. And finally, Glen is going to get another base cap. Is this cap going to be able to hang out? That other mecha will go down. Oh, and he's not gonna let to sit on it. He'd rather not take, instead of taking the defensive negative, he's just gonna let Willingham build a plasma tank on it and see if he can force those plasma tanks out of position and allow for a capture. We're here on round 15. Only 7 rounds left before the game is lost. Willingham consolidating his speeders, pushing up his plasma tanks, trying to keep it out. But now, Glen playing a game of Ring Around the Rosie, bringing his troops across to the other side, and he's coming back to the bottom. And now these plasma cannons are just going to have to play hot potato between the positions. And Glen, he's just going to take advantage of the superior mobility of the speeders and put the plasma cannons in a position where they're just not going to be as useful. Willingham doesn't have enough speeders to deal with this problem alone, and the plasma cannons on this map are just not going to have the mobility to catch up with him. Willingham now moving his tank back, seeing the conundrum that he's in. Glen going to take it a couple of heals and bring all of his speeders to near full health. We've got 3 full health speeders at the top, an 8 health and a 5 health. That's a formidable force right now. And an additional 3 health, and the up on the board, and that is going to change the dynamic of this game tremendously. Willingham already pulling on a 200 lead, 250 lead, and the Walker, in addition, is going to push everything from Glen back unless he wants to lose it, especially those cannons. The Walker putting itself into a further position here, and it's going to have just enough range to hit that Walker on the following turn. It's going to have just enough range to hit that plasma cannon on the following turn. Glen continuing to reposition his bottom portion, dividing his forces into 2 very effective flanks, and Willingham now trying to push up on the left side and not give away any of the position, but he's caught in the situation where there's not enough troops to prevent against both sides. The other Walker from Willingham now coming down and trying to force some of those speeders, and those speeders will get a little bit nervous just outside range. But Glen having the advantage of developing his Walker a few moves, is getting better position with his Walker than I'd say that Glen has with his, and just trying to push everything away from that base. These speeders forming a protective wall across the map. Willingham now going to be sending his other speeder up, getting a 2-4 shot exchange, trying to cap away that base and just chip away at this wall. Maybe give him an opening somewhere where he can continue his harassment very effectively on that left side. Another speeder is going to go down. The credit count is once again, it's still even here though. I think we see an advantage in Willingham's position, but in credit count, that Willingham has really been able to hold on. But Glen still maintaining the superior position, continuing to push down his wall. Force everything away from this base area in the right side, and just continue to use speeders on the left hand to make sure that Willingham's push isn't going to be effective enough. We see 2-4 exchanges coming here from Glen. Glen going to be using his mecha, going to be protecting his mecha behind that back line, and we are going to see the plasma cannon willing to take this shot away from the it is in the range of the Walker, but it's a good idea. It's going to keep that base defensive long enough. Why use his push down on the right-hand side with those Walkers. The 4 shot now coming. Is that plasma cannon going to be able to hang on for another turn? I think it will be. I don't think these speeders have quite enough to eliminate it this turn, but they can will it down to like a 3 or a 2. A 2 shot coming off, and I think That is all we're going to see for damage. More heals coming up from Willingham, pushing up his plasma tank, trying to slow that Speeder Walker push from Glen on the upper right-hand side. We're already at 18 turns, and I don't know if this is going to be... I don't know if Glen can get all 3 captures in just 2 turns, and I think Glen is going to be in some serious trouble. Is he going to be able to do enough damage? He has to do a tremendous amount of damage this turn in order to make the win. In less than 20, we see 1 speeder go down. A 9-shot speeder now going to attack that 6. Is that 6 speeder going to go down? Is he going to be able to break through that wall? We're not sure. A full health speeder is going to eliminate that, but there's nothing left to deal with that 2 speeder in the back, and the wall is going to remain open. He will bring the 9 speeder in there so that the wall cannot advance any further. Bringing his speeders up to the right-hand side now. Bringing that speeder to a 1 health, using the mecha to eliminate it. Is the walker going to have enough range? Taking a 6-shot. Is that speeder going to survive on that base? It is going to get eliminated by the remainder of these speeders. And it looks like Glen just getting enough damage, but we're here on 18 turns, and that was a significant amount of damage, sure, but is it enough to give him the position of capturing these bases? I don't think so. Not in 2 turns. Not in 2 turns. He does have 1,000 credit kill advance. If you gave him another 5 turns, I think there's a win in 5 turns here, but not 2. Not 2. Willingham just going to take advantage of the time burn that he's managed to put on Glen. It really... This game was I think it was decided by when that 3 health mecha wasn't able to make that first base capture. That first base capture would have brought an entirely different dynamic. Glen now going to be using his remaining turn to do as much damage as possible, maybe eliminate what's left on the board. I mean, it's not unfeasible. There are quite a lot of speeders. If he could eliminate everything on the board, he just might be able to get a win. I don't think it's going to be possible, but let's see. I've seen more insane things happen before in this game. Another mecha going to be wiped clear off the board. But no, there is a full health tank, and that walker has already taken off his shot, and that full health tank alone isn't going to be enough, and I think they're going to see the GG here. Glen just doing his final heals and positioning on the remainders of these troops. Getting the +2. And we're here on turn 20. And I think this is going to have to be the GG on the remainder of the game. Let's see how the rest of the game cleans out, though. I'm not sure who's going to win out. What's the count? What's the count? Glen's got a 600 count lead here. I think he's in the better position to win the game. He's just not going to be able to do it in 20. And that's going to be the GG here. It just wasn't enough. Glen playing a fantastic early offensive, but he was able to just find that little hole in every offensive wall that Glen was able to put up twice in this game. Twice in this game, we saw a position here from Glen that was under eminent base capture from a mecha. There was a 3 mecha. And then there was another base cap. It wasn't a base capture, but it was a cap by a speeder. And the speeder had been able, if either one of these positions had held, this game could have easily gone down in under 20 turns. I really believe that's the case here. Let's see if we can sit back and just take a look at those 2 positions real quick before we do our final wrap up. Here we go. So we see this mecha right here is going to jump up onto this base, and Glen's got the 3-7 lineup here, and there's only these ones in the back, and I think that he's got full. How much vision does Glen have on this map? He's got full vision by now, right? Yeah, absolutely. Glen has definitely got full vision, so he knows all of the speeders are on the back, and I suppose he was gambling because there is a 3, a 5, and a 6, and a 9 and a 2. I suppose all of these combined is enough to get the 7, but if I had to get really knocked him off was there was this mecha here, and that mecha was able to do that 2 to 5 exchange, bringing this speeder down to a 5 and opening it up just enough for one of these speeders to take that spot. And I see the impulse for him to push up into this position, but he has this 7 here, and it's not like if he moves this 7 up to keep the base capped, while this one gets a health and while maybe some more speeders are able to move on and continue to defend this line. I think if he had moved this 7 speeder up into this position for a turn and consolidated just a little bit more around this area, the zonal control is blocked here. He can't move the 6 speeder up in here and attack anything. So this mecha is still protected for at least a turn or two. And then heal this mecha up in the meantime until you're ready to use it. And then when it's like, and then a turn or two later when it's like at a 4 health or a 5 health, then bring it up onto this base. It could have been a different game. But I think, Glenn probably was saying, he's got to depend on what the rolls are. Maybe the rolls are going to be just low enough to keep that 7. It is possible, even with this, if this mecha gets a 7 to 1 shot instead of a 7 to 2, then I doubt it is possible that he might have just lacks enough speeders that he can't get base capture. But I think this was a little bit early. Not far from me to question Glenn. Glenn's a much better player than I am. That's just my opinion. If you disagree, be sure to leave something in the comments below. I make mistakes in my evaluation, but that's what it seems like to me. All in all, though, it was a really fantastic game. There was another scenario where there was a speeder up capping up this base that also got eliminated, but I think this was the determining factor of how the match played out, especially when you have the factor of needing to win in under 20 turns. All right, guys. This has been fantastic. Be sure to like the video, and if you guys really enjoy it, maybe hit me with a subscribe or two. Other words, this is EnnuiGoblin signing out.